Welcome to Boston Real Estate Times. Our guests today are John Stebbins and Jennifer Stebbins Thomas. They are newly appointed managing directors of PROCON, one of the leading design build firm in the New England area based in New Hampshire. Uh, they took over as the managing directors because their father, Mark Stebbins, passed away in a very untimely way, and they were forced into this leadership, although they have spent most of their years working at Procon in sub roles. So we are going to talk to them about how they are going to run the company and what is their vision of a Procon as we come out of this so-called pandemic era. So Jennifer and John, welcome to our show and really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us, Upendra. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Pendra.
Sure. And first of all, our really heartfelt condolences for your father. We're very saddened, and your company has been absolutely a big supporter of Boston Real Estate Times for many, many years. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
so let us start with first, before we get into your vision about the company, tell us about yourself first. Let's start with Jennifer first with you. How
Yeah.
you got started with the company and how long you have been there?
So both John and I had grown up around Procon, obviously. Coming into the building on weekends when our dad was working, and after graduating from Dartmouth, I went and worked for 4 years in strategy and management consulting. And then Mark, our dad, called me back and said, I think we've got a really cool opportunity here. I was considering business school at the time, and his comment to me was, how about I pay you and teach you everything you'll learn at business school? And that ended up being very true. And so my role was more on the development side. We are hotel developers, and he brought me on to lead the financing and legal teams, which I did for about 8 years with him before this past summer. So our development offices sit inside of the Procon offices, and we work extremely closely with the Procon team. And one of the great things about the development side is we've always been very vertically integrated, and having Procon there and all of the resources has been an invaluable part of our success as developers. So,
John,
Yeah.
what about you?
So piggybacking off what Jennifer said, I have fond memories of going to Procon construction sites when I was younger with my grandfather and also my dad. When I had a great framed picture of my entire kindergarten class in the bucket of a loader, which was fun. And then when I was able to start working in the summer, 16, 17 years old, I was a laborer for Procon, started pushing brooms on job sites. And I remember painting waterproofing on the side of concrete foundations, and got to know a lot of the field staff in that way. And it started when I was in college. I did some internships in the estimating department and the architecture department. Went to Georgetown for college, and then to architecture school at Virginia Tech University, and then was working for an architecture firm in Virginia for 2 years. And Mark called up and said, I have a great opportunity for you to come work as an owner's representative for us on the hotel development side. So did that for about 9 years, and built probably 20 hotels, working very closely with Procon and actually a few other construction companies, which I found helpful to get my entire life. I had only known construction through the eyes of Procon. But it was really nice to be able to work with some outside companies to see how they did things. So, and actually that reinforced to me the value that Procon gives to developers.
So I know that the Mark's death was very, very untimely and very surprising. My question to you is, was there any transition plan, or it just happened everything in the last moment?
candidly, the last moment. He had done a great job of pulling us into different meetings. You know, one of the things that Mark did as a leader really well was if you were ready to take another opportunity on, he was absolutely ready to give it to you. So John and I had both sat in on a number of, you know, PROCON decision-making meetings, and we were actively involved in the company, and it's a family-held company, so it's been important to our family for a long time. You know, Mark had always expressed that he was interested in working as absolutely long as he could. He just loved working and had no plans to retire. So there was not a formal succession plan in place. I will say that one of the amazing things about PROCON is the amount of longevity we have among our staff here. We recently had an employee appreciation day where we handed out a number of 20-year service awards, 25-year service awards, 30, 35, and we even had a 45-year service award. So that is a pretty incredible thing. And I think Mark always believed that if anything were to happen to him, the company would be in incredible hands with the real depth of employees we've got here. So there was not anything formalized.
That is the one thing we noticed, that, you know, the number of employees who has been for a very, very long time at PROCON, which is not very common in the industry, which is really very remarkable. And so now tell us about some of those employees who have been really there for a long time and what role they are going to play in the company right now.
Yeah, we have four employees now. This will be their third generation of the Stebbins family
at the helm,
right? So they started with our grandfather.
For all intents and purposes, the company has truly been led by the two co-presidents over the last 5 or so years. You want to talk about Jim and Lance?
Sure. Yeah, Jim Loft heads our architecture department, and he's co-presidents with Lance Bennett, who heads the construction operations. Jim has 25 years at PROCON, and Lance has 35 years at PROCON. So between the two of them, it's a real depth of experience, and the transition of leadership has been pretty smooth because of that. There hasn't been any real effect on operations of the company.
Now, this may be a good time to ask you this question too. Is can you those of us who are not very much familiar with the type of work which PROCON does, so if you can just quickly give an overview, the areas and the sectors where the PROCON focuses on right now.
Yeah, so PROCON is like you said earlier, a true design build company. We have the largest architecture firm in New Hampshire. We have around 50 architecture, engineering, draftsperson team that designs almost all the projects that we build, but also designs a few for others, a few for non-PROCON construction projects. We do hospitality, we do residential, we do we're heavy into aviation, we do warehousing and distribution, we do education, just finishing up a $87 million project at Tufts University. We do Tracy, help me if I'm forgetting. Commercial mixed use.
We just finished off a beautiful office building in downtown Portsmouth, a 5-story office building there.
Yeah.
Actually, we wrote an article about that project, actually. So
it turned out really well.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. The picture looked absolutely stunning. Okay. So now, as the third generation, and you know, I'm sure that your bringing up and growing up has been a very technology-driven the environment. So what is your vision? What you plan to do, and how do you want to make any changes, or how you are going to put your mark on PROCON and with your customers and clients?
Do you want me to talk generally and you can talk specifically?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, John and I are still, it's been 4 months, so we're still getting our arms around where exactly we want to be, you know, our 5-10-year plans. But one of the things that Mark was really known for, I think, was his focus on relationships and his focus on seeing everybody, developers, clients, subcontractors, employees, as people first, as opposed to, you know, those types of titles. And what John and I have said to each other is, if we can continue that, that sense that PROCON is a real family, that PROCON is a trusted partner, that our clients' jobs and projects are as important to us as they are to them, then we really will have succeeded. There are a lot of initiatives we're working on, and when we talk about where do we want to grow with numbers, to us, it's not as important as that sort of relationship first focus across everybody that we work with.
Yeah, what we're really trying.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Jennifer and I both come from the development side, right? The hospitality development side, and what we see with what we want for PROCON to be is the best building delivery system for developers in New England, right? We want it to be a developer to be able to come to PROCON and say, we have a vision, and PROCON can take that vision and deliver them a beautiful building that hits their value targets.
We know that developing is really tough and painful and can be incredibly rewarding, but it's a difficult road. And if we as PROCON can take some of that stress off of a developer and have them place their project in our hands and know that we're going to treat it really well, that will be success for us.
Yeah, treat it as if it's our own project.
Sure. Now, if I'm not wrong, I think PROCON is the largest architectural firm in New Hampshire, and also the general contracting firm as well, right?
Yes,
in New Hampshire. True. And you also do a lot of business in Massachusetts as well. Most of your projects has been here in this area as well. So how you are dealing? I know it's a tough time to hire people because of pandemic and all. How you are coping with the hiring problem? Or you have enough staff already lined up?
No, we are hiring like crazy. I think we've got a really unique setup here in New Hampshire. One of the nice things about working at PROCON is that you're not driving into Boston every day. And both of us, having worked here for almost a decade each, what we really value and what we appreciate and we hope that other employees see is that it's a real family company. It's a real personable dynamic. We really have a real family atmosphere, and the design build experience lends itself to really creative thinking for both design professionals and professionals on the operations side. And I think that that's a real unique delivery system that can make projects go smoother and be more fun for employees.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we sell ourselves to developers, we also sell to our employees as well, is that instead of a potentially conflict of interest between the architect and the contractor, we're really approaching this as holding hands together and coming up with creative good solutions together, right? So there's no finger pointing between one side of the building and the other, the architect and the contractor. It's we're all in this together, guys. So and girls, and let's do it right.
Can you also talk about the size of PROCON in terms of employees, etc.?
Yeah, we're about 150 employees. That's slightly smaller than we were pre-pandemic, but as you mentioned, Upendra, it's very difficult to hire right now. And we are out there actively looking for people on the architecture side, the operations side, estimating, and everywhere in between. So we'd love if anybody's out there listening to this and is interested, give us a call.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I know we have a very good outreach, so hopefully you might get some calls.
Great.
Now, can you also talk about some sort of the charity work which PROCON does?
Yeah, that's actually something that was really, really important to our dad, and he had involved John and I in it as well. Mark believed really strongly in giving back to his community, and he felt strongly that he'd been given a lot of gifts and he wanted to share them with his community. So we've got some incredibly strong nonprofit partnerships here in New Hampshire, and John and I both sit on boards. John's on the board of the Manchester Boys and Girls Club. I'm on the board of Waypoint. The Stebbins family and PROCON have always focused on family-oriented nonprofits. That's just been an interest of our parents, and I think of John. John has 4 young kids. I've got 2 young kids, and we see how important it is to have support when you're a young family. So those types of organizations have been really important to us, and we would, it's absolutely our goal to continue that going forward.
Okay. One more question I want to ask you is, what are the lessons you have learned from your father? I
How much
sure
time do you
there
have?
must be plenty of them, but what's
Yeah, well, I think that the most important lesson that we learned from him is the importance of relationships in Avendra and treating people like we would want to be treated. He was a very fair businessman and really developed deep relationships with most of his partners. We have been the lucky recipients of a lot of those relationships, and has that honestly has made our transition into the leadership of PROCON a lot easier. What else would you like to say?
Yeah, I mean, he was, integrity was really important to him. Fairness, you know, he was, in addition to all of those really great soft skills, he was just a really brilliant business person. Whenever we had sort of a really tricky situation, he was always able to come up with a creative solution and sort of take a step back, not panic, think outside the box, and that served him really well. And I think it's something that John and I hope we've gleaned a little bit of, you know. And you know, besides that, he was just an incredible dad and a really great grandfather. And I think at the end of the day, you know, as we think about his life and all of the amazing things he did, I know that was one of the things he was most proud of. And so keeping that at the forefront of our minds, because our lives have become much busier over the last 4 months.
Sure. But maintaining a family first mentality.
Yeah, it's really important.
Making sure we set aside time for our families, and making sure our employees set aside time for their families. Sorry.
So, okay, then as we come towards the end of the interview, your last word.
Oh, I think we're just really excited about the future of PROCON. You know, we've been around for over 85 years, and, you know, John and I are just psyched about the next 85.
The sky's the limit. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time, and really all the best.
Thank you, Avendra.